All right, we're going to welcome onto the stage our next speaker, Ryan Stewart. So Ryan's been a member of Traffic Think Tank for a little while. Some of you will have probably consumed some of his content originally on WebRis. Him and Nick are now partners, and he's been doing a bunch of stuff within Traffic Think Tank as well. So a huge round of applause now for Ryan to come up and deliver a chat.
Yeah? Word. All right. So about a month ago, I moved into a new apartment, and everything has been fantastic, except for the washing machine, which has been broken since we moved in. And when I moved in, I called down to management, and they sent somebody up. He couldn't figure it out, couldn't fix it. So I called Samsung, who manufactures the machine. They sent somebody over, couldn't figure it out. So I turned to Google, of course, and I did some research, and I called some companies, and they said, yeah, we got a guy. We'll send him over. He'll fix it. So the guy shows up with a bag of tools, his cell phone, and a clipboard. And I show him to the laundry machine room, and I kind of let him do his thing, and then I go and work on my TTT deck. And come back about an hour later, and I see him sitting on the floor with the clipboard and a cell phone in his hand. He's watching a video, and I'm like, damn, dude, you want a beer or something? I'm like, what's up, man? What's up with the machine? And he says, no, everything's good, man. He said, everything's good. There's a lot of errors with the machine. I had to do some research online. I'm just finding out what's going on. I'm figuring it out. It'll be done in 20 minutes. And then he looks at me and says, but man, thank God I had this checklist. My company, I just started here this week, and they actually built me a process that showed me how to troubleshoot and fix this specific type of Samsung machine. And he said, with the amount of errors that you had on this machine, without this process, I would have been completely lost. And I got to thinking, because like I said, I was literally working, this is Tuesday, and I was working on my TTT deck. And Nick, being a partner of mine, of course, you know, I hear from him quite a bit, and Barbie was emailing me. And Nick tells me, you got to get up here and talk about something you haven't spoken about before. And I'm thinking to myself, this is a room full of intelligent marketers. Like, there's nothing that I know that I can't tell you. And there's nothing, even more importantly, that's not already on the internet, that hasn't already been said. Like, you know you need SEO, you know you need Instagram, you know you need email, but if I've learned anything over my 10-year career, what I know is that what you probably don't have is a framework to organize all of these things. Just like that guy who showed up needed that checklist to figure out what all these errors were and keep everything organized, a framework allows you to walk into any campaign, no matter what, and have success. It might not be in the first month, it might not be in month 6, but eventually, if you follow that process and do proper marketing, you will have success. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So marketing is a gamble. Like, literally, we're taking money and we're putting it into a company and we're hoping to get an X return out of it. And having a process or a framework allows us, like I said, to keep things on track. And again, to walk into, whether you're working for an e-commerce website, you're taking on a new client at an agency, you're working on 100 different clients at an agency, it allows us to walk into every campaign with confidence and allow us to get results off the back end of it. And I'm going to tell you today what I call the blueprint. This is the framework that I've been working on over the life of my career. It's what I've used to build my agency, WebRis, and ultimately one of the reasons why Nick wanted to acquire the agency was because of the processes that I had in place. It's what I've used to grow e-commerce websites, sell those, lead generation websites, sell those, and again, work across hundreds of different client campaigns while maintaining quality and, of course, getting results. And not just for SEO, this is across marketing as well. So what I want to do, though, is I want to put it within the framework and within the scope of a consult, basically like an interim CMO that I worked on this year. So after I sold the agency, I was pretty much out of operations with the agency, and I had a little bit extra free time. And I took on a client that was in the cannabis space for a lot of reasons, but applying this framework into, laugh if you want. But applying this framework, I was able to, I mean, you can see the traffic growth. It's apparent, not only organic, but overall traffic as well, but really the sales times 3. And of course, the keyword rankings exploded since we started working on it as well. This is a shitty joke, I'm sorry. You just edit this part out. I was going to make a joke, but I already blew the punchline. But anyways, as Barbie said, my name is Ryan Stewart. I'm partners with Nick in From the Future. I've got 10 plus years experience. I did the big agency thing at Sapient, did the consulting thing at Accenture and Deloitte, but I didn't work well for people, so I ended up going off and starting some properties on my own, got introduced to SEO, fell in love with it, and through that process learned everything I could about marketing and how to build, scale, and grow businesses. These are my social profiles. I'm not getting paid to be here. Please follow along. So what I want to do too, and I realize this now that I only have 30 minutes to give this presentation. This is something that should be given over about an hour. I'm going to do a full webinar and post it in Traffic Think Tank for everything. But I wanted to do was run you through the framework up front. It's the 5 phases plus all the sub-processes that fall under these 5 phases. And then after I get through that, I want to show you and walk you through literally step by step with this case study for how I took this and applied this framework to that case study. So phase 1 is learning. This is where we go through and we literally learn as much as we can about a new client, a new campaign, an industry, an audience, all these things that I really think that marketers, especially SEOs, completely underestimate, is really understanding who that person is that we're trying to sell to. What language do they speak? Where do they hang out? I promise you, it's probably not Google. It's probably somewhere else. We have to understand where that is, and we have to understand how to speak their language and connect with them. Phase 2 is improving. The fastest turnaround in anything always comes from improving what you already have. So looking at the existing assets that we have and how we can go through the process of making those better and picking up traffic and conversions right away. Phase 3 is building. That gets into talking about how to create new assets, both on the website, on social, advertising campaigns, all across the brand, et cetera. Phase 4 is promotion. So within the scope of SEO, we're talking about things like link building. But of course, within the scope of marketing, we're talking about things like advertising, video marketing, basically getting your brand and your website or your client's website as many places as possible. And phase 5 is evaluating, again, something that I think that's highly underrated, both at the agency level in terms of reporting, but also in terms of running a business, getting those metrics back fed into you and making the right decisions about how to make the improvements and really go back to the beginning and keep pushing this thing through on as many different properties as possible. So again, I'm going to quickly go through these things. I know I already talked fast. I'm going to talk even faster because I want to get through this and get to the fun stuff. So during the learning process, phase 1, the first thing I like to do, whether I'm working with a new client, a new consulting client, or even just taking on a new website, I like to ask a bunch of questions that help me dig into the business. Not so much on the marketing side, but how many employees they have, type of resources, growth over time, about their audience, about their industry. I like to try and absorb as much information as possible because, again, it's easy. How many people are agency people here, by the way? Yeah, a lot, okay. So it's really easy because we have so many clients to not take as much of an interest in their businesses because there's so much stuff going on, but you have to. If you really want to keep that client over the long period of time, you have to get involved with what it is that they do, and you have to show that you care. And the easiest way to do that is just get them a set of onboarding questions and start to understand their business and facilitate those conversations over time. Part 2 of the learning process is analysis. So pulling in data, keyword data from SEMrush, competitive data from SEMrush, Google Analytics, Search Console, CRM data, any data that you can get and piping that into, I like Data Studio, but piping that into some sort of reporting platform that allows you to analyze and make decisions. 3 is looking at competitors. Again, SEMrush, Ahrefs are both great tools to do that, both at the SEO and just overall business and online competitive nature. Looking at what they're doing across platforms and deconstructing that. And then 4 is building a plan. So again, project planning is something that I've been hot on over the last 2 years because I don't like to do work. I don't like to do marketing. I don't like to write content and do outreach and all that shit. I think it's tedious to me, sorry. Okay. But having a plan, having a process in place, if I have everything dictated via project plan, allows me to not only see the gaps that I don't want to do, but the gaps with the resources that I don't have, that I can go out and hire a contractor, hire an agency, and fill in those gaps. So a project plan is incredibly important. That's phase 1. Phase 2 is improving. So like I said, looking at the existing assets that we have, how can we turn these things around as fast as possible? So we developed something internally. It's called the website quality audit. A lot of people call it a content audit. Basically what it does is scrapes as many different data sources as possible. There's a bunch of blog posts on this on the web, and it helps us understand the quality of every page on that website from a marketing point of view. How much traffic does it get? What are the keyword rankings? What are the sales of that individual page? And then we want to make a decision about it for what to do with it. Do we want to improve the content on the page? Do we want to redirect it, 404 it, update it, all that sort of stuff? Basically just rearrange the architecture of the website in short and improve the overall quality of the website, hence the name. 2 is keyword research. So I like to do keyword research in 2 parts. During the improving process, I like to look at the assets that we already have and the keywords that should be on those pages. So not talking about a gap analysis where we're looking for new keywords. I want to find out what the keywords that should be on that page that's going to turn that page around as quickly as possible, the existing assets on that website, mainly landing pages. After that, on-page and UX, this is something that I've really seen an increasing importance with over the last 2 years. taking these keywords and building the proper experience, both from a traditional SEO title tag point of view, but also if I'm looking for this keyword or this product, what is it that's going to make me ultimately pull the trigger and buy that on the first time I see it? We have to build that experience into the page, and we have to start thinking about it up front. You can call it conversion rate optimization, whatever you want, but we have to improve those pages. Number 4 is target pages. This goes back to the accountability that I was talking about, building a list of pages that we can track over the life of that campaign and hold ourselves accountable, both to our clients and to ourselves. Too often we look at a website with 1 million products on it and we try and improve everything, but using a set of target pages allows us to segment that website and prioritize what matters. And again, hold ourselves accountable to track the keyword ranks over the time, to track the sales of that page over time, the traffic, etc. So phase 3 is building. So I like to start, like I said, this is keyword research part 2. So keyword research part 1 is looking at improving the keywords of existing pages. Part 2 is saying, okay, we actually built a tool in Google Sheets, of course, that pulls either SEMrush or Ahrefs data. You dump in their competitors, you pull in those keywords, and it will tell you which keywords they have on theirs that you don't have on yours. And I know some of these tools do this automatically, but this is how I sell contracts, so I like to build them myself. But a gap analysis, again, helps us to build out what we don't have on the website. So it's basically keyword research part 2. Then taking those keyword gaps and starting to turn those into topics. How can we get this information either on our website, on our YouTube channel, on our Instagram account, but taking these keywords and turning them into topics. And part of that is looking at the intent behind what that keyword might be. Because a lot of times, especially at the agency level, what we do, we get a list of keywords and we just create blog posts. It's 2019. Like, not everyone reads blog posts. There's a million different ways to reach people. We have to understand how to map different keywords to different parts of the website and not on your website too. Should this be a video? Should this be an Instagram post? Should this be a blog post? Should this be a Facebook ad? We want to go through all these things, and after we assign a topic, we go ahead and we assign a content type to it as well. And then, of course, content management. Anyone who's ever tried to manage a content campaign knows how difficult it can be. There's a whole workflow in that in itself. It's an important part of the process of making sure things get done on time. Now we move into the promotion, so a little bit more of the traditional marketing things. So I like to start with a strategy. What are we going to attack? Again, I talked about in the beginning, you need SEO. You should maybe be at sponsoring conference events. How do you know where you should be? You need a strategy, and that goes back to your audience. Who are they? Where are they hanging out? Where do they spend their time? You take that and you turn that into a promotional strategy, and you get all the outlets that you can within your budget, and you build a strategy around it. Next is prospecting, going out and manually finding all these opportunities, getting a list of conferences, getting a list of podcasts, getting a list of websites you want to contact, a pitch for a guest post, whatever that may be, build that list. And then, of course, what do? You fire a pitch box and you contact them all, right? One by one, easy. And then, of course, we're just going to make sure we're tracking and managing those, both the negotiations, things if we're doing media buys. Also here, too, what I'll put in here again, this is not just about SEO and the management side of things. I'm talking about media management, Facebook ads management, ongoing ads management. This is where I start to turn my attention to those things as well. And then phase 5 is evaluating. So this is where I go through and decide how I'm going to be tracking stuff, how I'm going to be reporting on stuff, how I'm going to be testing things. This is where I start throwing in CRO and testing the things that we have and making sure that we're continuously improving this. This is an iterative process. A common misconception about processes is that it's set in stone. It's not. This is a framework for growth. We should be continuously testing, breaking it, and making improvements to it. And then finally, just repeating this. I don't want to call myself a serial entrepreneur because it's cliche, but I'm constantly looking to take this and apply this to the next model. Can I buy an e-commerce website, an Amazon business, whatever that may be, and take this framework and grow that and put it in my portfolio? Okay. Any questions on that? How much time I got left? Okay, I got time. Okay, so now let's talk about the case study. So this is the product that I was working with. This is what's called a decarboxylator, and this is really going to drive home why the learning part is so important. What this is you take cannabis, dry bud, you put it inside of it, you push the button, and it runs a process of what's called decarboxylation. That's the process of basically heating the cannabis to extract the THC from it. So when you smoke, the decarboxylation happens when you apply the heat to it. When you put it in this machine, it activates the THC inside of it. So if you were to take a piece of cannabis and eat it, you'd probably get sick. If you were to take a piece of cannabis, put it in there, and then eat it, you would be stoned for 4 days, I promise you. So what it does is true story, it activates the THC to the part to where you can sprinkle it on food, to where you can smoke it for an additional buzz. So it helps you get more out of your cannabis, and it activates it too. Like anyone who's tried to make edibles at home for sure knows it's a stinky, smelly, messy product. So I saw this as a really good product fit for the market and for where things were going. So the CEO of this company, incredible, intelligent woman, she was an attorney. She got cancer and she had to turn to cannabis for same thing, reason a lot of people do, but she couldn't smoke it because she had cancer. And she found that when she went to the store to buy an edible or from whatever, that she couldn't control the dosages. You know, sometimes you eat an edible, nothing happens. Sometimes you eat one and again, you're stoned for 4 days. So she developed this product and patented it as a means for people who needed cannabis as a medicinal solution to better regulate their cannabis. So that's the product. Now, going through the learning process of understanding how I can take this, and I just want to show you the learnings again from what I got from it. So, like I said, too often we rush into campaigns. It's really, really important to lay the foundation. Again, if I try to get up and start marketing this product without going through this process, I wouldn't be able to connect with the audience. I wouldn't know which channels to hit people with. I wouldn't know how to write the content. I wouldn't know how to create the videos. I would be just doing kind of like your standard marketing campaign that, of course, has a lot of risk and is ultimately going to fail. This is important too, just for a client note, for those of you working with clients, because a lot of you in here, I slid this in here. It's not just about goals, it's about expectations. If you want to maintain clients over the long period, it's not just about getting them more traffic, getting them more sales. It's about knowing what their expectations are and knowing how to meet those. Sometimes it's about having a conversation, sometimes it's about making more money. You have to know what that is. And specifically with me, our relationship fell apart. The reason why I put this in here is because I didn't know how to meet her expectations. I did not do a good job of managing that relationship, and ultimately, the reason I don't have equity in this company now is because of that. So it's really, really important. It's probably my biggest lesson learned of 2018 that has nothing to do with marketing. It's about working with other people and knowing how to manage expectations of that relationship. And it goes the same, too, with a business partner. It's not just about doing whatever. It's about managing those relationships with the people around you. So it's really important. So it's time-consuming, blah, blah, blah. So I want to just run you through the learnings and the summary of the company so you understand. There was big challenges around this product because of it's cannabis. It's illegal in almost every state. So she had issues with shipping. She had issues with inventory and advertising. You can't advertise on Google and Facebook for cannabis. It's blacklisted, which takes out a massive distribution channel right there. Luckily, we found a way around it, which I'll talk about a little bit later. It's a single SKU product. She had goals of getting to 10 million with one product, which was aggressive, again, managing expectations. And what's even worse about it, I don't mind aggressive goals, that's fine, but with one SKU, that's a problem. But number two, it's a difficult product to understand. Like, how many people actually understand the product now after I spend 5 minutes talking about it on stage? Yeah, a handful, right? It's difficult to understand, and it was $250. So she had a handle on the medicinal market, but we were trying to reach your everyday stoner, and $250 is not a solid investment for most everyday stoners. So it was a challenge. She had a small team. She had 2 people with no marketing expertise. And because of the inventory buying cycles, because of all these regulations, she had to buy massive bulk, which put a massive stranglehold on budgets. So we were talking about maybe twice a year we had budget to spend on big advertising campaigns, so that affected the planning of all the different media buys that I wanted to do. So the platform was built originally on Squarespace. It was not scalable for anything. The website, hilarious, yeah. The website conversion rate was terrible, especially with the amount of branded traffic that they had. She had unrealistic expectations, like I said. This is important too, is that a lot of the times as business owners, we have our own thoughts and opinions about our companies and what we want them to be, as opposed to what they are. She was convinced, she only hired women, which is fine. They were all great. But the product was, men were buying it. It was 75% men buying the product, 85% men going to the website. And everything on her website, her messaging, her videos, everything was geared towards the wrong audience. And it's really important that we consult the data and going through this process, I had to literally sit her down and have a conversation that you don't know who your customer is and it's affecting your sales. It's really important. The huge total addressable market for SEO, which of course, I talk a lot about non-SEO things, but SEO will always be my baby. There's nothing better than people coming and buying to you without having to do anything. So massive online search volume for everything related to cannabis. A lot of PR sites like Leafly, huge sites that talked a lot about cannabis, a lot of traffic, a lot of opportunity there. A lot of small bloggers as well. A lot of opportunity with content. A lot of influencers. And has anyone here done a mass influencer campaign before? Wow, okay, surprising. Why not? If you haven't seen the Fire Festival documentary, you should be beating yourself over the head. But anyways, I don't know why I'm holding this. So what we found, the challenge with influencers is a couple things. Number one is that because of people like Gary Vee, the market, everyone's like, yeah, let me go do influencers. So what's happened is it's supply and demand, right? There's more demand, so they've all raised their prices, and for you to get an ROI for paying somebody $5,000 for an Instagram post is not there. So while 3 years ago, before Gary Vee made that his platform, it was a great opportunity. You can make a lot of money with influencers. We actually have a client who's spending $1 million a month on influencers, and it's sustained their business for a few products, SKU, tea company, to like 15 million a year in revenue. It's crazy, all off influencers. But with this, it was a good opportunity because the type of influencer that it was. There weren't companies in the space that were actively reaching out to him. So there's people out there doing bong rips on camera, getting 1 million views for free with nothing. So there was a huge opportunity for us to go in and basically do some sort of product insertion, some sort of collaborative content with these people. There were no direct competitors at the product level, so there were no other decarboxylators out there, but there were competitors at the usage level. This is important. So Canna butter is what you take to make cannabis brownies. And again, I don't know if anyone here uses cannabis oil, but so there was no direct competitors, but there was a lot at the audience level. Nothing wrong with it. It's almost legal. And again, huge addressable market, and there's a big market for affiliate opportunities, which is, again, becoming more and more rare. Affiliates are an awesome way to drive revenue. So what I had to do was re-platform. That was a top priority. I needed, the sales were dropping. That was why she really wanted to bring me on. She was really into direct sales opportunities, so things like email buys, media buys, influencers, anything that was going to drive revenue. Just with a single purchase. That was what we were really looking to prioritize for. Again, pay-per-click ads are blacklisted, unfortunately, so I had no choice but to get these product pages ranking and also content as well. I had to clean up site structure, do a lot of content types of marketing, and I needed to change the tone to reach everyday stoners. Again, I'm kind of dragging on here. I'm gonna squeeze through this. So I wanted to play on previous PR success because she had gotten a lot of coverage being who she was in the space. I had to fix analytics. I had to build out their automation and tech stack. They had nothing. Needed to scale to a larger audience. So this is what my high-level roadmap looked like first. Very straightforward because she was actually going for a second round of funding, so we had to put together a high-level roadmap. Just to give you an idea of the initiatives, this started in February of last year and how we were going to attack all these different things. But ultimately what it scales down to is a very detailed project plan that has everything listed out at the task level. And why this is important for me is because, again, I'm not going to go do outreach. I'm not going to write content, but somebody has to do it. And this is where things fall through with the cracks a lot of people is that you might have a strategy, you might have a framework, but you're not executing against it. And that's where project planning comes into place. Because with these two things, we can go to an investor and say, we have a plan, we have a track record for success, we have the product, we just need money to fund this, right? So this is how I used to stay on track for singular products at the agency. We use Asana. It's been a game changer for our business on both things. So moving into phase 2, into the improving process. So again, this is where we're looking at the fastest turnaround possible. And this is mainly around cleaning up your existing assets, on-page keyword targeting and UX. This is just a screenshot of the website quality audit. I'm actually going to be relaunching a humongous blog post about this and how we pull it in. I have another business partner. His name's David Krebit. He does all these Sheets automation things. It's really amazing what this tool is going to do, and we're going to launch that soon. But some of the outputs of this were an improved URL architecture. Again, these are little things that we often glaze past. URL architecture is incredibly important, especially when you're looking to scale. Because the plan was to add more products, you have to have that thing planned out in place. You can't just throw products onto random URLs. You have to have all that stuff ironed out. Massive URL cleanup and consideration. She had a lot of issues with content cannibalization because the concept of decarboxylation was such an important thing and was so convoluted and complex. She had 18 different pages that were talking about it. So it was an easy cleanup. And if you look at their traffic, it's in Ahrefs now, you see the keywords. They have 2 pages on their site. Decarboxylation myths and what is decarboxylation on the bottom of the funnel, which is a decarboxylator, and all of those pages rank and they drive a stupid amount of traffic. And just for the record too, this is an 80-page website that's doing 150,000 organic visits a month. It's crazy. And it's a combination of URL cleanups, all these different keyword targeting things, and of course promoting it the right way as well. And then this is the list of the pages to improve the right way. This is the list of target pages. Keyword research, this is actually kind of cool. I want to talk quickly about keyword research. Something that we do at the agency for clients, this is actually stolen from a From the Future deck, it's keyword intent, number one, which is a hot issue, but also it's more SERP understanding. And there's some tools out there that kind of do this, but especially when you're working with clients, it's important to pull this down and visualize it. So what you're looking at here is the top 3 positions. This was for a client that I stole this from, not for this campaign that I was working on. But this is the top 3 positions, and then the type of result that it is. And why that's important is because too often we try to jam results up there that Google just doesn't want to rank for it. And a perfect example is Amazon. In the e-commerce space, like, a lot of people want to fight Amazon because for a lot of reasons, but like, dude, like, it's happening. Get on board with it, you know? And data like this really shows that you just can't outrank them, you know what I'm saying? So you should either look for other strategies to sell on Amazon or look for other keyword opportunities. And this is like great data and visualization to show somebody that you're basically barking up the wrong tree. Another thing is pulling in Ahrefs domain rating and showing how the different results stack up. Again, like, especially when you're working with a client or some sort of leadership that you can't send them a 10,000 spreadsheet URL. They don't the URL spreadsheet. They don't want to look at it. But this simple picture shows you, like, dude, you're outmatched. This is not going to be a 2-month campaign to get traffic. This is going to be a long-term play. And at the agency level too, it's really good to start seeding these things early, so that way in month 6, you can kind of be like, dude, I told you so. We've had this conversation before. This isn't new news. So this is going into the target pages. This is just basically just benchmarking where they are, showing the pages, their current rankings, their current link status, all that stuff. And then also what I like to do is I like to go through and allocate the link plan based on this. So looking at, when we're doing keyword research, what we'll also do is pull through the top 3 results. We'll pull through the content type, which is manual. We'll pull through the number of links that each of the top referring domains that each of the top 3 results has. And we'll also pull through the velocity of those top 3 results. So what we can do is we can create a picture in our head of how many links we're going to need to acquire for that URL over time to get it into the top 3 positions. So we're just benchmarking this data in this screenshot here. This is just a screenshot of our on-page file. This is just old school SEO, going through, changing title tags, improving metas, all that stuff, internal linking stuff. It's just a big spreadsheet. Again, and also for the record too, is that I have all this stuff. It's going to be online in the next 2 weeks. I'm giving it all away, just for the record. So this is an important thing too. The marketing funnel, I talked briefly on keyword intent, but this is something I know that's been talked about, but it's really important, especially with this campaign, because going through the 5 stages to understand how to sell this for a single product website is challenging. How am I doing on time? Oh, shit balls. I'm not even going to get close to finishing this deck, for the record. Okay. Just cut me off. So I'll just cover this, I guess, and then I'll wrap it up. Damn, I want to talk about Facebook, though. Okay, but anyways, so I promise I'll do a webinar on this because it's been on my mind. I've been saving this presentation for TTT for like the last 6 months, and I've been waiting to publish it. So I'll do a full webinar on this so you won't miss anything. But basically, with the keyword funnel and the mapping funnel and the intent funnel, what I had to come up with was understanding, again, for a single product with something that was so complicated, I had to go through the process of attracting people in the cannabis space, introducing them to the concept of what decarboxylation was, explain to them why it's important in a separate phase, and then introducing them to the product and then selling them the product. So it's basically the entire funnel is mapped up of just decarboxylation. So when I was talking about understanding the type of content on the website, where it should live and how we should be promoting it, this is really what it comes down to. So at the top of the funnel, I had things like everyday cannabis users, recreational, medicinal, looking for things like recipes, dosage information. And the distro channels for that were going to be influencers, PR, and blog posts. And then at the awareness stage, starting to get into it, people coming across the decarboxylation concept for the first time. And that, to me, was going to be primarily through search. So somebody looking for decarb, what it is, explanation, what is decarb. That's why that post ranks so well for us, and we're able to actually remarket off the back of that, but I'm not going to talk about it now. And then after that, introducing them to the Nova decarboxylator for the first time, aware of the product, but then hesitant to buy because of pricing, and then nurturing customers just like you would with a SaaS company. So I'll cover this with the last few minutes. This is really, really important. Again, this is something that I'm really hot on. This is not just keyword mapping, not just intent mapping, but page mapping, understanding where this content should live on your website and how you're going to get that in front of people. So this is a screenshot from analytics of the top 3 pages. One is the home page. One is the product page. That's the Nova decarboxylator. And number 3 is the education page, the blog post about decarboxylation myths, right? What we want to do, though, is start to dig into the intent behind these pages, how people are finding them and why they're finding them, so I can inform me on what should be on that page. So what we can do is we can take this, we can go into Google Search Console, and we can see the queries that people are using to find these top 3 pages, right? So when I look at the product page, these are heavy branded keywords. They are looking specifically for the Nova decarboxylator. They're ready to buy, right? So what I had to do was basically refigure these. This is the legacy version of the website, by the way, is what I had to work with. It doesn't really tell you anything, but I had to go through and rebuild these pages to make them more clear, more focused. So I contracted out this designer that I use all the time. We came up with some really good concepts that instantly were able to better communicate this, show the benefits of the product. Again, if somebody's coming to the product page, they already know what it is. We don't have to go into like, what is decarboxylation? And like tell them what decarb is, because if you go back to the funnel, where are they? They're already at the bottom of the funnel. They know what it is. They're ready to buy it. You just got to tell them about the product. So we talk about the benefits. We talk about testimonials. And of course, FAQs. Anyone who's ever run an e-commerce SaaS business, I'm sure, knows the drag on what people asking questions can do to your internal resources. So just put them on the page. Then going back to the blog post, that was the third on the page. This is people who know what decarb is, but really not likely to understand that we sell the product that this even exists. So what we did from the UX point of view was just add a sticky sidebar on the side that on these blog posts talking about decarb, it's like, hey, you can decarb at home. We have a product to do that. So we're using these pages to funnel people into these product pages and physically push them down the funnel. I'm going to wrap it up. But again, like I said, I promise this is going to be on YouTube in the next week. I'll post it in Traffic Think Tank so you guys can all see this. There's a lot more left in this. I'm only getting started. I apologize. I'm a shitty planner. I live in Miami. I'm always behind. So
thanks a lot, Ryan.